आइए देखते हैं, मजा आएगा।
It was only the outsiders, only the Hindutva elements. And let me clarify here, whatever problems are going on in India today is not between Hindus and Muslims, but it is because of the Hindutvavadis.
Not bad, not bad. Now you...
The case, the Babri Masjid Action Committee is not fighting for the construction of a hospital. That much I know for a fact.
Emotional damage.
It was possible for you to have a constitution which is secular in nature without the word secular even being introduced at the time of the framing of the constitution. That is important. Because it cannot be anybody's argument that until Ms. Indira Gandhi came into force and she introduced the word secular in the preamble, India was less secular. That can't be the argument.
हेलो एवरीवन, स्वागत है आप सभी का द सैवेज वॉइस के एक और नई डिबेट वीडियो में। आज की डिबेट वीडियो काफी ज्यादा कमाल होने वाली है, इसलिए वीडियो को एंड तक जरूर से देखिएगा। दरअसल ये जो डिबेट वीडियो है इसका मैं इंट्रो शूट नहीं कर पाया था स्टूडियो में, तो आज मैं बाहर आया हूं तो यहाँ मैं शूट कर रहा हूँ। दरअसल एक प्रॉब्लम चल रही है, उसके बारे में आपको बाद में बताऊंगा, पर फिलहाल बात कर लेते हैं इस डिबेट के बारे में। तो इस डिबेट में आपको देखने को मिलने वाले हैं जे साई दीपक, साथ में आपको देखने को मिलेंगी स्वर्ण माल्या, गणेश, गोपी शंकर और मीनाक्षी जोशी। में आपको साथ में देखने को मिलेंगे विपक्ष के रूप में अतीक रहमान। तो वीडियो में काफी ज्यादा मजा आने वाला है। हाँ, जे साई दीपक ने काफी तगड़े फैक्ट रखे हो तो उनके लास्ट वाले बयान को सुनना मत भूलिएगा एंड वीडियो को एंड तक जरूर से देखिएगा। एंड साथ ही अगर ये वीडियो आपको पसंद आती है तो आपको इसे फैलाना है, ज्यादा से ज्यादा शेयर करना है। एंड इस चैनल पे अगर आप नए हो, ये वीडियो आपको पसंद आती है, ऐसा ही कंटेंट आप चाहते हो, तो आपको यहाँ पे सब्सक्राइब कर लेना। सब्सक्राइब करने के लिए आपको यहाँ रेड या व्हाइट कलर का बटन दिख रहा है, उसे प्रेस कर लेना है। तो फटाफट से सब्सक्राइब कर लो, लाइक कर लो। चलिए आज की इस कमाल की डिबेट वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं।
See, Article 1 says India, that is Bharat.
You are absolutely right.
What is Bharat? Define Bharat then. Bharat is put together. There is a person filing a case against chanting Asatvam Asatgame. Tomorrow he will come and say, from Bhagaranka Upanishad we have Satyameva Jayate, which is our logo verse. We cannot remove it just because it's from Rig Veda.
So let me bring Kunal sir here.
I, as a Muslim in India, I stand for a liberal ideology that the artisans who built up the Babri Masjid, they were Indians, they were Indian artisans, and therefore they created the pillars of the masjid walls, giving them the architecture of Hindu. And this was not objected to by Mir Baki because he was a Indian secular ruling or whatever, he was a part of the regime of Babur.
Acha.
So he never objected to those pillars being a Indianized, creation of that. It was never proved by the Archaeological Survey of India that the temple was demolished and a masjid was created.
So you are basically saying that if it were to be proved that the mosque was built after demolition of the temple, the Muslims will be willing to come to a compromise or to a solution on the issue, maybe hand over the land back to the Hindus?
101%, and this will be decided on the floor of the Supreme Court.
Okay, so let me take the example of the Kashi Vishwanath. There is no dispute that there was the temple which was destroyed and the mosque was built. So are you willing to hand over the Kashi Vishwanath?
Are you ready to take India 500 years back, or you are ready to give to the posterity of this generation, the millennials and the generation Z, the India which is about to step into artificial intelligence in 15 years hence? What are we talking of? Are we ready to take back India 500 years back?
अच्छा, हमको सिखा रिया है.
This is completely unacceptable. And in the beginning, purposely I said, I stand as a liberal Muslim in India.
कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं हो गया?
And I am not ready to take back my Indians. Even if tomorrow some, God forbid, a Muslim rule returns to India, I will never allow my people to go back 500 years back.
Fair
because
point.
Quran never permits it.
ठीक है, समझ गया.
The facts are concerned, let's be clear. Let's start with his premise completely. Let us completely go with his premise that the constitution which came into being on the 26th of January 1950 effectively promises equality, and as a consequence of which we are supposed to let go of every vestige of the past, and therefore every claim that harkens you back to the past must be thrown into dustbin. That is effectively what he's saying. Fair enough. Okay, let's take that particular position. What you must know is that because the predominant number of people who populated the Constituent Assembly were members of the majority community, it was possible for you to have a constitution which is secular in nature, without the word secular even being introduced at the time of the framing of the Constitution. That is important. Because it cannot be anybody's argument that until Ms. Indira Gandhi came into force and she introduced the word secular in the preamble, India was less secular. That can't be the argument. Point number two, as far as secularism is concerned and as far as equality is concerned, there is another thing that the Constitution promises, which is justice, which is truth. And there can never be peace or equality or harmony without truth and justice.
Well, you are absolutely right.
This is important. Point number three. Despite the fact that the framers of the Constitution were aware of the pending proceedings with respect to the claim on Ram Janmabhoomi at the time of the framing of the Constitution, they never took a position to say, let us end those proceedings and let us end the claim of any community with respect to that particular land. That decision was taken only in 1991 under Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao by a legislation called Places of Worship Act of 1991, wherein an exception was created only with respect to Ram Janmabhoomi, thereby taking away the rights of the community with respect to all of the places of worship. That itself renders that particular legislation unconstitutional. I am not making an argument which is pre-1947 or pre-26th of January 1950. My argument still stands on the annals of the Constitution. Point number four. Across the world, it would be harakiri and it would be unfair, it would be an insult to people who are victims to be told that their oppressors and invaders were actually secular people. I haven't heard of this argument anywhere across the world that we are now being told that Mirbaki was secular because Babur was secular. I'm so sorry to say that this flies in the face of history. I will be very, very clear on one particular issue. The current generation must not be held responsible for the acts and acts of omission and commission of the previous generation. I'm very, very clear about that. Be that as it may, when you lay claim to that particular history and you claim yourself to be forebearers, rather, let's say, descendants of that particular history, and you cite it with a certain amount of pride, then I'm so sorry. The standards of judgment which will be applied to them shall be applied to you.
सही पकड़े हैं।
अगर आप यहाँ तक वीडियो देख रहे हो, उम्मीद है कि वीडियो आपको पसंद आ रही होगी। अगर ये वीडियो आपको पसंद आ रही है और आप चाहते हो ये ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों के पास पहुँचे और आप चाहते हो इससे ज़्यादा लोग इसके बारे में जान सके, तो आपको कुछ भी नहीं करना, आपको बस वीडियो को एंड तक देखना है, जिससे यूट्यूब को ऐसा लगे कि ये वीडियो में दम है तो वो उसे आगे पुश करेगा। साथ ही वीडियो को लाइक, शेयर और कमेंट बॉक्स में आप अपनी राय भी रख सकते हैं। तो आगे की वीडियो को अब आप एंजॉय कीजिए।
Point number four. As far as the facts of the case are concerned, it does not involve constitution. Even if the rest of the country and 90% or 99.95% of Hindus say that let us build a hospital as opposed to a temple there, I will make this statement bluntly. The rest of the Hindus do not have a say as far as that particular issue is concerned, because the people who are owners of that particular piece of property and who are laying a claim on the particular piece of property under laws of ownership of property are the only ones who have a say with respect to what will happen in the particular place. Which means it will be the Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas, it will be the Sunni Waqf Board, and it will be the Nirmohi Akhada. These will be the only people whose voice matters, because this is a title dispute at the end of the day. The facts which Ms. Jain has clearly put out clearly show, regardless of destruction, there was a temple on which a mosque was built. The only thing that is unclear when it comes to facts are whether it is Aurangzeb who did it or was it Babur who did it. But the factum of destruction cannot be denied. The argument of architectural reuse is something of a later invention today, that we are being told that the debris of an existing temple was used for the construction of a mosque. This is what we are being told. And apparently the secular heart of Mirbaki was kind enough to accommodate the construction of a mosque using the debris of temple. I'm willing to accept even that.
So basically, Sai, you were saying that the whole case in the Supreme Court is all about the property.
It's a property dispute.
Property dispute,
Yeah.
and there's no need to prove whether the temple existed or.
Those who
whether
do
it was
not
destroyed.
want the particular case to be decided on the anvils of evidence and on the basis of property dispute related principles are the ones who bring in constitutional and secularism, because I think they do not have merits on their side.
Once a judge goes on the panel of being a judge, the only Bible to him is the Constitution of India. Whatever politics has been involved in it, the delaying tactic of every political party, and I am not naming whether it is this or that, everybody, in normal cases, in normal circumstances, you must have seen how lawyers, create a sort of delaying, tactics on the floor of the courts. So we cannot, it's a contempt of court. We have to believe in the highest oracle of justice, and that is the Supreme Court of India.
ठीक है समझ गया.
As far as the Muslim parties go, they primarily argue on the ASI reports, but I don't know why the media, the political parties, they have an attitude of, you say a false thing 1,000 times and one day it becomes a reality. And this has been done with the Ayodhya issue. There is absolutely no sign of any, leave aside Ram Janamsthan, there is no sign of any Hindu presence on that particular vicinity in Ayodhya. As far as my research goes, there was a Muslim cemetery, still it is there, a Muslim Kabristan. In the 1800s, some Hindus, and mind you, the people of Ayodhya, Hindus and Muslims, they live very much together. They don't have any disputes related to that particular land. It is only we, the political parties and the media, that we are fighting for that. So at that particular moment, some Hindus went to the British officers, whoever responsible were there, that saying that we don't have shamshan to cremate our. So a particular land adjacent to the Babri Masjid was allotted to them. Later on, there was a garden sort of. They claimed over that Sita ki rasoi came up. Then some other things came up. And in this way, in this fashion, the Hindu parties enter into, and never the people of Ayodhya were involved in that. It was only the outsiders, only the Hindutva elements. And let me clarify here, whatever problems are going on in India today is not between Hindus and Muslims, but it is because of the Hindutvavadis.
Not bad, not bad. Now you.
The case, the Babri Masjid Action Committee is not fighting for the construction of a hospital. That much I know for a fact. Second, that ARTH should not have played a role. That argument, according to me, misses the point. ARTH has played a role how? Because for 500 years at least, there is recorded history of every traveler who was hopefully not Hindutvadi, coming from Germany and coming from United Kingdom and other places. I'm not sure RSS had an influence at that point of time retrospectively. Each of them coming and recording that this was treated as a Hindu place of worship, as a consequence of which faith has played a role. That is the answer.
खत्म. Bye bye. Tata.
तो आपने देखा किस तरीके से जे साई दीपक ने अच्छे तरीके से सबको बजा डाला। यहाँ पे अतीकुर रहमान जो फैक्ट्स रख रहे थे उसका बिल्कुल सटीक जवाब दिया है यहाँ पे जे साई दीपक ने। साथ ही यहाँ पे आपको गोपी शंकर जी ने काफी अच्छी खासी बातें कही हुई हैं, तो उसके लिए भी एक लाइक तो बनता ही है। साथ ही अगर ये वीडियो आपको पसंद आई है तो आपको एक लाइक करना है, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लेना अगर आप ऐसा ही कंटेंट इन फ्यूचर देखना चाहते हो। तो यहाँ पे रेड या व्हाइट कलर का बटन दिख रहा होगा, उसे प्रेस करके जल्दी से इस छोटे से चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लेना है और इसे जल्दी से 100K की फैमिली बनाना है। तो फटाफट से सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए। एंड साथ ही अगर आपका कोई भी राय हो, कोई भी सजेशन जो हमें आप पहुंचाना चाहते हो, वो आप कमेंट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हो। एंड जो प्रॉब्लम मेरे साथ चल रही है वो मैं आपसे आगे डिस्कस करूंगा। फिलहाल तो मैं इस प्रॉब्लम को फेस कर रहा हूँ जो कि मेरे लिए काफ़ी मुश्किल है, बट हो जाएगा। एंड आप लोग एंजॉय कीजिए हमारी वीडियोस को। आप ज़्यादा सपोर्ट करना चाहते हो तो आप ज्वाइन भी कर सकते हो। तो मिलते हैं किसी और वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए राधे राधे।